YouTube, the goddamn deal, man. It's money only Pappy, and we are back with another video. Check this out. There are two instances when you realize you are in the military. The first instance is that first night at boot camp, bro. You sitting down or laying down in your bed. It's probably like 2 in the morning, and you just looking at the ceiling, and you like, damn, I can't believe I'm in boot camp. I'm in the military, regardless of the branch, and you want to go home. All right. But once you get over that and go through basic, you cool. You go to test school, you cool. But it really hits you that you in the military, bro, when you get to your first base. When I got to my first base, Dover, Delaware, I ain't gonna lie, my stomach hurting. I was nervous, boy. I'm nervous because it was just like you realize you're no longer in training mode. The training wheels are coming off, you know. And you just like, damn, like, I put this uniform on for real tomorrow. I go to work for the military for real tomorrow, or whatever the day is. And so it was just like, there's no going back. I mean, it wasn't no going back then in basic and test school, but you could get in trouble and get kicked out or fail or whatever the case may be. But now that you've made it to your first base, there's no going back. You know, you gotta ride that 4 years out or that 6 years out. And I went in at 19, so I was a single airman, so I was living in dorms. When I was taking all my stuff from the car upstairs to my dorm, and I had to sit there and process. I was like, dog, I really live in Delaware, bro. I am really on this installation. I am really in the Air Force. And I got homesick, bro. I got homesick. I ain't cry, though. I ain't cry. Now, if you cry, I ain't gonna judge you, because I totally understand. But this is a whole different life that you finna experience and go through, you know? And once you get those jitters and stuff out the way, you gonna be straight. Trust me. If I'm telling you this, there's some truth into it. Because once I say some stuff, it becomes real. But yeah, it was crazy, man. It was crazy. Now, if you're a person that don't make it through basic because of an injury or this and that, that's cool. But you can't be like, I was in the military. No, you was not. No, you was not. Technically, yeah. But if you don't make it to your first duty station, bro, you went in the Air Force, bro. Or you wasn't in the military, bro. You couldn't make it through. You couldn't make it through. And that's cool, but don't just be saying like, yeah, I was in the Air Force or I was in the military, and you ain't go through basic training. Or you ain't finish basic training. You know? So, yeah. I was nervous here getting to my first base. Can't lie to you. Cause you really don't know what to expect. You know? And then with me being in Texas for 6 months, because basic was at Lackland, and then my test school was still on Lackland. So them 5.5, 6 months that you're there, you get used to that base. And Lackland is a big base, bro. It's a big base. So when I got to Dover is like a third of the size of a goddamn Lackland Air Force Base. Everything is off one street, Atlantic Street. You know, so that kind of made me feel a little bit better, because I was like, I'm not just a little fish in a big ocean. I'm kind of in a lake or whatever. If that analogy made sense, probably didn't, but whatever. But that made me feel more comfortable with what I was doing. And I ain't gonna lie, the stuff you learn at test school, I brain dumped it. As soon as I graduated, I brain dumped it, because as soon as you get to your base, you're gonna go into like the training phase anyway. So you're gonna learn how to do things according to that squadron and what the rules and regulations of that base. So it's cool to learn your job in test school, but in reality, are you gonna be applying that stuff in the real operational side of the Air Force? Kind of nah, because nowadays the stuff that they teaching in test school it's not even, y'all not even doing that stuff at y'all base. You know, it's good to know, but y'all doing some other stuff like building clearing. Man, you ain't finna do that shit in your base unless you got one of those bases that's always into some stuff like a Fort Hood or something like that. But other than that, man, y'all finna be chilling like a mother. Y'all finna be chilling. But once I got out the nervousness and the homesickness of my base, I was chilling. So I made this video to say this: when you get to your base and you feel like you nervous or you scared, that's normal, bro. It's normal. But once you get comfortable, make friends and this and that, you gonna have a time. You're gonna have a time. Especially living in dorms, bro. And if you got like a lit dorm, man, it's kind of like, I never been to college, but I like to think dorm parties are way more lit than dorm parties in college. Dorm parties in the Air Force or the military hit way more, or they're way more extreme than dorm parties in college. That's just me though. Not even dorm parties. Parties in the military in general, they just hit better or hit harder in college. So it's a time, and y'all gonna be alright, bro. Y'all gonna be alright. You go to work, get off, go work out, or do whatever you want to do, take classes, whatever the case may be, and do all over again for the next 46 years. You develop a routine, a schedule, and yeah, it's a regular 9-to-5 job, bro. Regular 9-to-5 job, but y'all gonna be alright though. So hopefully this video made y'all feel, you know, comfortable about joining, but really getting to your first base, you're gonna be alright, bro. Being nervous is normal. Okay, so look, I appreciate all love and support. Y'all got any questions, drop them down in the comments. Let me know what y'all looking forward to when y'all join the military. And shit, if anybody is watching that's currently military, did I tell the truth about getting to your first base? Bro, there is a spider on my window. Yeah, did I tell the truth? Let me know in the comments. So yeah, like, comment, subscribe if you're new. I'm out, dog.